feminine reclamation in 3 stages, 3 steps. I want to share this with you. It's a simplistic model of what it is to reclaim one's full feminine, what it is to open the feminine, awaken the feminine, embody the feminine, remember the feminine. And it's the same journey for everyone. It's stunning, it's beautiful, it's amazing, it's wild. And I think if you have any inkling to open up to your full feminine, to reclaim more aspects of your feminine, including wild woman, witch, priestess, medicine woman, the feminine mystic, the sacred prostitute, which, by the way, we have lots of videos on all of those different aspects of the feminine, so you'll find links all over the place if you want to continue diving into those. But it goes in 3 stages. And so feel into this, and if it feels right, leave a comment below, because we love hearing about this. If you like the video, you're getting something out of it, hit the like button, hit the subscribe, hit the bell notification. If this serves at some point, we would love that, because we want to just keep sharing more good stuff with you. All right, 3 stages. Often we come into reclamation of the feminine work from a feeling of there has to be more, or I am only living half a life. I'm only half alive. I know that there's a wildness. This is like oftentimes you'll hear like wild woman awakening or wild, we're drawn to like wild woman. There's this like this energy in me or this force in me that's kind of untapped, or there's this untapped magic in me. So sometimes like medicine woman can call a woman in by just like, there's untapped magic. There's a way to connect in with the natural world and the rhythms of the natural world. Like, come hither, young one, right? Or sometimes we can be called in by like priestess capacities, by feminine sexuality, by sacred prostitute energy. We can be like called in from that aspect. But there's often a sense in stage 1 of, in some way, feeling repressed. That might be a tricky word. Feeling like you've had to dampen down your fullness, or you've had to put a lid on it, or you've had to tone it down. You've been told you're too much. You're too much. You're too emotional. You're too wild. You're too big. Or conversely, you haven't been told that, but you feel like you play it small, right? You feel like you play, like even my body just goes into that place of, you feel like you play it small. You feel like you're hiding in a way. You're hiding, or you're wearing a mask, or you're playing small. Stage 1 is dormant. Stage 1 is dormant. So it's dormant, like maybe some of our feminine energy is being expressed like the good girl or the mother. But there are other feminine aspects that are dormant, that are, we can use other words like oppressed, repressed, hidden. It's almost like this sense of Pandora's box for some women, or men too. It doesn't matter. It was all reclamation of the feminine, regardless of the body we're in. But it's almost this like Pandora's box, like, oh my God, I'm going to unleash the beast. That's stage 1. And if you kind of check out Lilith videos, again, links are all over the place, you'll see in stage 1 Lilith, she's in a marriage. So feel into this. She's in a marriage where in order to keep the peace, she has to keep a lid on some of her truths, or some of her fullness, or some of her wildness, some of her sexuality, in order to keep the peace. So feel into that for yourself. Have you been in a relationship? Are you currently in a relationship where, yeah, okay, these parts of me are work in this relationship, but these parts are going to rock the boat. And you don't just have to feel into intimate relationship or partnership, but feel into family systems, right? Family systems. Feel into other societal systems that you're a part of, maybe religious structures, maybe friend groups, maybe the career that you're in. There's a culture in all of these. There's a different culture in our family, in our intimate relationship, in our friendships, in the work we live in. in the work we do in the world, and just feel, just feel. And this takes radical honesty. So these stages take reclaiming the fullness of the feminine in this current world takes radical honesty, and it takes a lot of courage. It takes a lot of courage. It takes bravery. It takes radical honesty. It lots of times takes holding, right? It takes holding by other people who've maybe walked through it already, or circles of women or circles of men who can hold us in what it takes to really open up to the fullness of the feminine. Okay, so stage 1 is dormant, or something along those lines. You can insert a different word if dormant doesn't feel good for you. Stage 2 is, let's go back to Pandora's box. Stage 2 is we open up Pandora's box, right? You lift the lid off of Pandora's box and you decide, I'm going to break free of the ties that bind. I'm going to break free of some cultural conditioning. I'm going to break free of nice girl or just being mother. There's so much more to my feminine, and it's time for me to break free. So stage 2 is the breaking free, and it's glorious and it's beautiful and it's like wild woman reclamation. Like, there is so much juice in me. There's so much energy in me. Like, finally, I get to take the lid off of my allness, right? Finally, I get to be witch. Finally, I get to be in my sexuality. Finally, I get to have all of my emotions. Finally, I get to explore me. But this isn't the final stage. This is stage 2. This is stage 2. I need a different term for this, but it's the term I have for now because I stuck with D's. So for whatever it's worth, find a different word if you don't like it. Stage 2 is distorted. It's unfortunately, it's not clean, pure, full, wild, feminine energy that's aligned with heart. That's coming from a very clean, pure place within. It's coming from a place of, pardon my French, fuck you. I have been quiet for so long. I have been repressed, oppressed for so long. And so when that Pandora's box opens, right? Again, we can relate to the Lilith myth. Stage 2 of Lilith, she goes on a rampage. And you can see this in real life and maybe feel into your life. So this is another check-in. Feel into your life around, I know for me, I got divorced. I was married very early in my 20s, and I got divorced in my mid-20s. And I went wild. I went wild. Like, I'm free. And I went wild. That's stage 2. That's stage 2. Stage 2 wasn't deeply, truly, authentically me. It was a opening Pandora's box and letting everything flush out. Giving myself the space to let everything flush out, right? Lots of things around my sexuality flush out, lots of things around just being emotionally full flush out, lots of things around just demand for equality between masculine and feminine. This links very much to Lilith. So stage 2 is the lid of Pandora's box has been opened, right? And it's really now starting to be the reclamation period. Like, this is the reclamation, and it's gritty. It's depending on how deep you're going and how wide, right? The feminine has such a wide bandwidth. And, you know, if you're just going for a small little bandwidth of, and I say bandwidth as in these are aspects or faces of the feminine, right? Like, okay, I'm good with Mary Magdalene. And I have deep reverence for Mary Magdalene. There's many, many gifts there, but I'm good with Mary Magdalene. But Black Madonna, not so much, right? So we're narrowing the bandwidth, right? Or I'm okay with my sacred prostitute and my sexuality, but I'm not okay with my witch, right? I'm not okay with my witch. So can you see the more aspects of self that we're okay with, the wider the bandwidth, right? The wider the bandwidth, the more we are able to express our fullness, really, really and truly. How we do that in ReWilding, just in case you're wondering how would you do this? For us, it's a lot of archetypal embodiment. It's working with different archetypal energy, like Hecate as the witch, like Mary Magdalene as sacred prostitute, like Lilith as demanding for equality, dark goddess, wild woman, reclaimer, right? And it's not just reading the myth, hearing about it, it's actually like opening that door to that particular energy, or you could call it Shakti, or you could call it feminine expression or face of the feminine, opening that door to that within you. It's an extremely embodied experience. If we're going to work with the feminine authentically and deeply, it is embodied, right? It is an embodied experience. It's not just something we think about. The feminine is not mental thought. The feminine is embodied life itself. I am the expression of Hecate. I am the expression of Lilith. So stage 2 is this sometimes gritty, grimy, gory, shadowy land reclamation of self, right? Like, fuck, I'm a witch. I didn't even know I'm a witch. And in this stage, oftentimes you'll hear individuals say, I feel like I'm coming home. I feel like I'm coming home. Because we open up these doors and go, oh my, I am so Mary Magdalene, but I didn't know it. I am so witchy, and I didn't know it. I am such a dark goddess, and I didn't know it. I am such a priestess. I am such a mystic, and I didn't know it. And I didn't know it. And so it's a beautiful, and I know I'm calling it distorted, and that sounds like it's terrible. It's not, but it's not the final stage. It's not the final stage. There's often, in the reclamation, often what comes up is fear. Fear of, oh my gosh, if I'm a witch, I might be burnt again. And this is unconscious fear. It's not completely, most of it's very unconscious. Most of it's opening up doors to that and allowing the fear to move through. So it's fears being moved through. It's rage, pent-up rage. So when we start to awaken to our feminine, there is not a person that I have ever worked with or ever seen, and I've worked with thousands around the world, that doesn't hit a point of rage around having to keep a lid on it. That doesn't hit a point of grief, rage, fear. That doesn't hit that point around reclamation of the fullness of the feminine. And this is in men and women. I watch both men and women hit that point of reclaiming and awakening to the fullness of their own feminine, hitting that point of outrage for the fact that we had to hide that, or that we did hide that, outrage for the fact that the feminine is devalued or is not as highly valued as masculine traits, grief around lack of connection to the natural world, grief around birth and not honoring death, grief around feminine love, grief around, oh my God, I am so sad that I have not been able to express the fullness of my love. I'm so sad that I have not been able to be in my body because it didn't feel safe to be in my body. I am so sad about the state of the world. I'm so sad about nature and the state of our earth and our planet and nature. This comes in stage 2. This comes in stage 2. And it can last years and years and years and years and years. Also, I want to share is this is not a linear journey. It's a spiral. It's an up-down spiral. We move from a stage 1 and a stage 2, and then we get to stage 3, which I'll explain in a minute. And then we can sometimes move back down to a stage 2 and go, okay, cool, I'm now seeing another part, right? I might even fall back into stage 1 and go, whoa, I'm really hiding in my family system. I'm actually like, whoa, what is this? What is this? I'm really repressing my witch. Here's a good example. I used to tell my family that I was doing yoga retreats, right? And here I am like witching it up out in the woods, doing all kinds of shamanic practices. I'm doing all sorts of divine feminine work and embodiment of archetypal goddess energies and kundalini, working with that and Shakti. And I'm telling my family I'm doing yoga. Yeah, okay, Sabrina. If you're not hiding, oppressing, repressing something, I don't know what that is. So, right? And so just having some compassion and really honoring, especially with the feminine is never linear. She's never linear. Never, ever, ever linear, right? She flows and she weaves and she dances and she's circular motions. She's a figure 8, right? So she moves through all of these stages and she dances us through them. So just honoring that. All right, really quick. Are you getting something out of this? Really quick. Time to reflect and feel into, okay, the most powerful thing I've received from this conversation so far is, and then just fill it in. And then that's for yourself. And if you want to share it in the comments, we would love it. I read all of the comments on all of our videos because they help me to deliver what it is that most serves. And that's what I want to do. So again, if you're getting something out of this, hit the subscribe, hit the like button, hit the bell notification so you don't miss any videos. And I would love to hear so far what it is that has been the biggest aha, or I do that, or how it relates to your life in some way. I would love to hear. I would love if it feels right to share. Okay, stage 3. Stage 3 is divine. So if we go from dormant, distorted, then we go to divine. Divine is when all of the, I shouldn't say all, divine is when enough of the rubble is out of the line that we can express from a place of love and not fear. That we can allow that energy, that feminine energy that we have reclaimed, to express from a place of love, from a place of truth, not from a place of anger, rage, grief, fear. It's not being distorted by our purging process. It's not being distorted by our purification. It's not being kinked. And then this is not to judge self. This is not about judging self. This is just the journey. This is just the way it goes, right? When we first open up to a new feminine energy, depending on that line within ourselves, it can hold some rubble, some blocked emotions, some debris, some past life memories, some karmic imprint, some family cultural conditioning. It can hold rubble. I just call that rubble in the line, and it can hold that. And so in stage 2, it's such an important stage and a beautiful and empowering stage, because stage 2 is about allowing that rubble to be moved out of the line, to be moved out, those blocked emotions, right? So for example, when some women open up to their priestess or their mystic, right? Like the feminine mystic, their priestess capacities, that particular line, when some women open up to that line, they open up to a place of the rubble in the line is of, I'm going to be killed for this. This also doesn't always just happen in the mystic line. It also happens in the medicine woman witch line. So if you work in the witch line and the medicine woman line, sometimes what can happen there is, and this is oftentimes so hidden, we don't even know it's there. We don't even know it's there. Oh my gosh, if I open to my mystic capacities or my women's wisdom capacities or my esoteric feminine gifts, right? Feminine gifts like oracle capacities, medicine woman gifts, blood mysteries, midwifery gifts, priestess gifts, sacred prostitute gifts. If I open to these, what are innate, they're like written on your heart. They're written on your soul. You came in with these. Whether or not you're going to open to them in this life, that's to be seen, right? Like it's kind of how far along the journey are we going to go? But when we open to that, there's oftentimes women, men too, will experience fear, like it's very irrational fear, but it's if I express this, embody this, allow myself to be this in the world, I will be persecuted. I will be ostracized. I will be thrown out of the community. I will be killed. My children will be taken away. And I'm going to extremes. But when you work in the deep guts of these, you start to really see these very unconscious beliefs around, if I'm that powerful, I'm going to be killed. If I'm that connected to the divine, I'm going to be punished. If I'm that, sexuality has a whole nother one too. If I'm that sexual or that pretty, women are going to hate me. If I'm that pretty, I'm not safe. If I'm that pretty, I'm going to be raped. If I'm that feminine, I'm not safe in the world. Something bad is going to happen to me. These come with the feminine, and that's part of stage 2. But what happens when we move through enough of the rubble, and I'm not going to say that there's ever an end. It's like we could dig through all of our rubble, then we start digging through ancestral rubble, and then we could dig through collective rubble, and it goes on and on and on and on and on and on and on. And that is a point too, where we want to be very discerning because we can get addicted to stage 2. We can get addicted to stage 2. We can get addicted to doing the work. I should do a video on that. Let me know in the comments below if you want me to do a video on like how to know if you're addicted to doing the work. And it's actually time to step out of deep diving, of reclamation, of shadow work, of going to retreats and workshops all the time, and inner inquiry and personal development stuff. And it's time to move into, stage 3 is like service too. It's being in the world. It's allowing, now we become this vessel of now I'm getting all spiritual on us, but just bear with me. It's hard to find words for this. We become this vessel of grace. Like we become this clear channel, right? So we have moved enough of the rubble out of our system so that we are out of the way and we can express our witch, let's just say, or a feminine aspect that we've reclaimed, the wild woman, the witch, the sacred prostitute, whatever it is, even the mother. A lot of times women have a lot of rubble in the mother line, right? And so we're expressing mother from a half alive place, a half capacity place, a distorted place. I hate saying that. Distorted is such a tough word. I need to find a new word for that. If you've got a new word that you think would work and it's a D word, I want to keep it D's for some weird reason. I don't need to, but if you have a word that you want to suggest, leave that in the comments too. But in divine, we start to just allow like that pure, let me go back to, we become this vessel of grace and of love, and that can flow through without us adding our fear, our grief, our rage into it. So it becomes this flavor of mother that doesn't have all of my stuff twisting it and distorting it and manipulating it. So I have hooks with it, I have agendas with it, I have pain coming through with it, right? So I can express, let's just say I can express my priestess. I can express my witch, which is another good one. I can express my witch. I can express my witch from a place of, I'm not afraid to be a witch. I'm also not like needing attention to be a witch. I'm expressing it from a place that has such little like egoical attachments to it. That's stage 3 of feminine reclamation. That is stage 3. And it's just, I'm gonna swear, it's fucking beautiful. And it is such a gift to this world. And the world is in need of this. And if you're called to feel more into Lilith, this is the Lilith myth too. Lilith is this stage 1, stage 2, stage 3. If you're called to find more about on Lilith, we have a Lilith retreat. We have Lilith videos if you want to continue on that. If something else is calling to you, you'll find other links in the description below, and you'll find links all over the place. But really and truly, I'll just leave you with this is an invitation to just feel into, like what serves you in your feminine reclamation? What serves you in this moment? Like just feel into, okay, I'm at stage 2. I need to find places where I can roar. I'm where I can let it rip, where I can be held, where I can be in a woman's circle. I need to find role models who are expressing a stage 3 witch, who are expressing a stage 3 Mary Magdalene, who are expressing a stage 3 feminine mystic, who are expressing a stage 3 mother. Like, let me, and just feel, just feel, right? All of our journeys are so unique, and really it's listening to that inner guidance, that inner truth, for what is the next breadcrumb on the breadcrumb trail, right? What is your next step on that like true north line, that soul path line that is opening you up to more and more and more and more of your fullness. All right, I invite you to dive into more videos if that serves, and dive into retreats and workshops that we have if that serves. And I will see you where I see you, when I see you, and how I see you.